Okay, take two here. I accidentally canceled the stream. So we're back live again this week, and we're gonna be breaking down this Larry June type beat for you guys. I know I'm late, and now said it in the wrong stream, but we got to get these things done for you guys. It's my commitment to excellence. As a Raider fan, I gotta have that. So, yeah. So the voting was pretty close this week. It was decided by one vote, but it's a Larry June type beat, and I'm just gonna go right into it, guys. I'm not gonna waste any time because it's been a lot of delay, so I'm not gonna do a huge intro for this week. But yeah, here is the beat. I'm gonna play it out for you guys. All right, so that's what the beat sounds like. What's up, Dawson? Good to see you in the chat. What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in on this Sunday morning for me. Um, and once again, guys, sorry for the delay, but let's keep going after it. So the first thing I'm gonna go into is this sample, right? So I just clipped a sample from this song by Harold Melvin. It's called "To Be True," which is like what I named the beat after. I actually just cut a section out that I wanted, and then I rendered it. Um, and then I just stretched it to the time frame that I wanted. So it's just like a little over 4 bars for the sample stretch. And then I just cut off the little tail end piece that was right here. Um, yeah, so that's what that sample is. I mean, like really just to like render it, like what you can do in here is I think it's here. Let's see, consolidate. So what I did is I consolidated from the track start. So once I like cut the sample to the exact length that I wanted, I just consolidated from track start, and then you can just get the entire sample that way, or you can do it like from the song start. Um, so yeah, you can just do that in a really quick way to get your sample out. And then I'll like break down the mixing that I had to do to get this sounding right, because there was a little bit of details in that. Um, just to kind of give a brief explanation about it right now. Uh, Basically, a lot of things that are like mixed back then, they used to just kind of be mono. So like sometimes it'll just be panned one way or the other way too much, and this is kind of like a good way to fix that. But I'll get into that when I get into the mixing. Um, Next, let's do the drums. So here's all the drums together. It would be pretty easy to solo this, so I just got to close this. And it's just a 4 bar loop that repeats. So the kick here, um, this kick, it's not too complicated pattern. It's just a boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom. And it's kind of like a repetitive pattern for sure. And when you hear it with the snare, it goes so. So when you're like doing like a boom bap kind of beat, you really want to like make sure that it's like getting like a boom, a boom, like basically that rhythm to it. It's like really nice if you just keep it going throughout the whole way. Um, but yeah, so if you're following that pattern, it's pretty good. Then we'll go to the hi-hats here. So I've got 2 layers of hi-hats right here, right? So I've got the main one like this. So you can't like really hear everything that's going on with that, but I like give it a nice bounce and a groove with it to just kind of like play off of one or the other so that it like balances with the track. And then we've got the hi-hats going like this. Just bouncy hi-hats playing with the velocity. So like when the rhythm is together, you can kind of like see how it plays off. So it gives it like more of like an accent, right, to it. So just like edits the rhythm of it without like having to like do like a whole lot of swing or anything like that. We got like our random perks in here. And then our bass line, right? So this is the bass line here. So I just used ample bass for that, and then basically just followed this rhythm, the dun 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 dun, and it's in C major, and I already knew that, so like the sample was already starting off in that, so it was really easy for me because you just got to play the white keys, right? So like any of the white keys on the piano, that's what you play like when you're in C major, so it's like really easy to kind of just go and find your own rhythm if you're just doing it on a keyboard, like the right. It's a pretty simple pattern to like just play off of on the sample. Now, I'll kind of talk about like why this to me seems like it's a Larry June or like a currency kind of beat. Like the sample really for me is the main thing that like is what I like want to focus on with this. It's just like there's not like a whole lot that goes into this track, and I'm gonna be keeping it pretty short this week just because it's not like a lot going on with this beat. But yeah, what makes it a Larry June kind of like currency type beat is just that boom bap vibe, but like you're keeping it chill, and it's like you have the room to like talk about cool stuff, and it's like okay, this is an uplifting sample. This isn't like a sample that's like dark and eerie or anything like that. Because Larry June's always keeping the vibes like 100, like he's always hitting like the good vibes, the good energy, everything like that. And this, I feel like this sample to me, with it being in C major, it just really like kind of does that. So you can really get good vibes when you're doing something in C major, just because like that's like the happiest of keys. So that's one of those things that I really like. If I'm like making a happy beat, that's usually where I start. So now I'll kind of go into like what made. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order. I know I normally do the mixing last, but I kind of want to go into like how I like flipped this sample, right? So I turn everything off on it, reset this. Like you can tell it's all the way panned to the left. So like all the instrumentation that I wanted to get is like not really sounding center. It sounds like it's way a little bit off kilter even. Um, but yeah, like the way you can fix that is just by like one first panning it, right? So like if you're panning it, it's already more in the center. You hearing it, it's right there. It's like it's right there. It's right in the center, and when you're looking at it, it's not like really playing too far off one way or the other. And then when you go into here, it looks more centered, right? For like your analyzer, your stereo imager, if you will. Um, so And then adding the effects, I just took out pieces that I didn't want, excited them a little bit more, and then I imaged it even more to make it more symmetrical. So it was like coming in like this at an angle and expanding. That way I can use the image of it just to like make it more centered as a whole because it's off by like that. And the reason it's like that, like especially like in the older mixing philosophy, you usually would like pan your drums to the right, instrumentation to the left. And it's not really the same school of thought anymore. So like when you're mixing a song or like using a sample that's really old, everything will be like it's not even like really really old, but it's like 50s, 60s, 70s, stuff like that. It was that same school of thought for a long time. So if you're using that like sample, you might have to pan it to the right. You may have to use a stereo imager to like get it to the right spot just to make it sound centered, like with today's mixing philosophy, you know, especially if you're cutting a sample from that. Then I also added like a flanger, just a little chorus, just to like, you know, pick up the sounds I wanted. So it's like if I like turn this all the way up, it's at 70% right now, right? Kind of phases it, you know? And like when we're back down to the 17%, it's not like, oh, I can tell this thing's like got chorus on it, but it also is like balancing it a little bit more into that pocket that you want. Gotta be right in the pocket, you know. And like I really want to explain that with sampling. I think that's like the marquee point of this video, is that the sampling when you're like doing like an old school sample, like I said, 60s, 70s, 50s, or whatever, a lot of the times you're gonna find, hey, and like, unless it's like remastered or something like that, that like the version that you're sampling, you're gonna find that the drums are all the way in the right, and then this is in the left, because a lot of the things that we're playing on back then were like mono. It wasn't like stereo like that. Um, so like when you're like listening to something, like I remember the first time I kind of like figured it out, it was just like I was playing I think it was actually Wiz Khalifa's one of his songs, like the one that goes oh 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 oh. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of it the song is right now, but like uh I remember the first time that I like experienced like, oh, if I'm like listening to something in mono, I can't always hear everything. Um, so I was playing like I had like an old school Fender amplifier when I was a young lad. I was playing that song through my like just my aux cord, like a quarter inch to the aux, and yeah, I just like found out that, oh, it's like it's missing some of the sounds, and it's like, oh, because it's just only the left one. It's only the left one when I'm in this mono, and so it's like there's a whole surround space. That's like the first time I figured it out, at least. That's a little bit of a long-winded story, but um, yeah. With the rest of the mixing, let's see, I kind of just was doing a lot of panning, putting things in mono for certain sounds, and then just using a EQ on the bass. Because like I was using this EQ specifically because I rolled off a little bit more of the top end than I normally would, because I wanted the velocity to hit really hard on this beat. And with ample bass, sometimes if you're hitting too hard, it doesn't it doesn't like roll the right way, because like you hit it hard, it makes that pluck sound instead of a nice simple soft bass. So when you do roll the top off of it, it makes it still punch the way that you want it to punch, but it just also like has that more element of the bass. I boosted the bass elements that I wanted as well on the top of that. And I know I'm going out of order today, but song structure wise, we've got 8 bars to intro. I have like a 4 bar fade in, so it's like you can really catch the vibe of the sample before everything comes together. Then you have a 8 bar hook, and then a 16 bar verse, and an 8 bar hook, and a 4 bar outro with just a little piece of tail at the end just to give a little bit more room. Now, if you like want to, you can get that same like silence. I like to add it on my own just because I like to keep the times a certain length sometimes. But you can do that on your own. Like if I'm just gonna like export this, you can like not click this setting right here, trim PDC silence. If you put a little of this in, it just like it'll like off kilter the beat by like a little bit of time. So it's like it's not going to be hitting exactly on 4 bar, 4 bar, 4 bar, 4 bar when somebody gets it. And sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't. But a lot of times when you don't have the PDC silence, it'll just cut it like really harshly in the beginning, and there'll be like a pop instead of there being no pop. But you can also get rid of that pop just by adding like a little bit of silence, but making it a full length of a bar. So everything when they bring it into the project is hitting at the exact right time, if somebody's like more particular like that. Um, so yeah, those will be my like 2 little tips today on that with PDC silence and how to mix something that's older. Um, but yeah, like I said, not a lot going on with this beat, but it's still a very fun beat. I really like this one, and Yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you today. Thank you for bearing with me on like how long it was taking. I know it took a long time this time, but next week we'll be right back at it. Same schedule, keeping it tight. Okay. Um, so yeah, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. If you found anything useful in this, please let me know. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you tuning in, Dawson. Glad you're doing good, man. Yeah, let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think make sure you're going to my Instagram to vote. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time for another. Peace.